Hello, welcome to today's episode of Talking and Roll. Today we have out of California, we have Taylor Ariel of the band or musical project StarSe3d. Taylor, tell us about yourself.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Taylor Ariel. I write, record, and produce my own music at StarSe3d. It's my solo project. It's a combination of rock, alternative, metal, very 90s, early 2000s style. And I've been doing this for a while. I sing, I write all the songs, produce all the songs, all the instruments. And currently, it's just been my main focus.
Did you go from a band to this project, or did you just jump in full into your own project?
It's kind of always been just like a one girl band, like a one person project. I would love to have a full band, but it just never worked out that way. So I've just been doing everything myself from day one.
Wow. And that's amazing. I mean, you're up there, you're playing guitar, you're playing drums, you're singing. You know, that's a lot going on right there. Um,
Yeah.
so when did you pick up the guitar? Or what was the first thing you picked up?
The first thing I picked up was the guitar about 12 years ago. I started teaching myself how to play, and then that kind of led me into writing my own songs and singing, and then recording and producing those songs.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that is really cool, because we've talked to a lot of people on the show, and you get the ones like, oh, I picked up the guitar, I can't play drums, I can't do this. You're doing everything across the board. That's killer. That's amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Um, and it's funny because I'm sitting there watching your video and you're playing your electronic drum kit, and I look over it. That's almost the exact same one I bought my son for Christmas.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So what made you decide to do Starseed as a solo project?
I just always wanted to have a band. But like I said, it didn't work out that way. So I decided to venture into a one girl band project, where I record and produce everything myself. And that's kind of where I got, my solo project StarSe3d together. And then I just took it from there, writing, recording my own music. And I definitely want to take it to the stage. It's just currently been, like putting my music out there and setting it out into the world.
Yeah. Now, did you take up drums too and producing and all that to make this, or were you already into that before you did the Starseed project?
I think I started learning drums a little bit after that. So like a little bit after I picked up the guitar. So like a few years after that.
Okay. See, I hate this. You're doing one of the smartest things. You're doing it all by yourself. That way you don't have to deal with band members being flaky. See, we've had so many horror stories of flaky band members and stuff. Now it's just like, it's me, it's you. You just deal with it.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to find the right people to work with that like have like-minded goals and aspirations. It's very hard to find that, and especially these days. I feel like in the past it might have been easier, but now with like social media and everything, everyone's online and it's a different world now.
Yeah. Well, you get so many people now that, we talk to a lot of people who are quote unquote guns for hire. They're out there playing whatever. They're playing music for, blues, rock, metal, you know, top 40s, 80s, it's across the board. And you also get the people who are like, "Oh, we formed this band. We got this is us," And then you get the well, lack of the word better, the dynamic of the band is so weird because you have so many egos, you have so many different personalities and everything else like that. At least with a gun for hire, you can bring them in, they'll play, and they'll be like, all right, cool, cash that check, I'm gone. But you get that,
Yeah.
it's got to be, do you think it's easier to do this all by yourself, or do you think it would be easier to actually still have a full band?
Um, That's a good question. I've been working alone for so long that I find this easy, but at the same time I feel like it would be really nice to have to share the workload with other people, because I just think it would be a lot more cool that way, having other ideas, into the mix and kind of sharing the workload. It would make things easier, and also uh, bring about live performances more naturally. But as far as working alone, it's very easy for me. I've done it for so long. It's like my comfort zone. So I kind of have to branch out and, find the right people to work with.
Now, did you pick it up when you were like get into music when you were young? You said like 12.
Yeah, like, yeah, pretty young, teens.
Yeah. Now does we always ask does your family, are they supportive?
Oh yeah,
Okay, cool.
definitely.
That's cool. Because we always hear the horror stories, and it's always really cool when parents and family back their, family members, especially in music, because you got to have that base. And I don't think a lot of people, everybody's like, well, you got to think realistically. And I went through that. I'm not a musician. I can't play anymore. But I have my own business and stuff, and I had a lot of people tell me, "Oh, you're never going to make it. You're never going to make it." Now this is my longest job I've ever had. I work for myself. I do my own thing, and it's so much nicer.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Did you come from a musical family, or did you? Nope.
No, I'm the only musical one in my family.
See, that's pretty cool. Did like your parents like were they ones that like bought you your first guitar, or did you save up?
Um, uh, my mom bought me my first guitar. Yeah,
Nice, nice. 'Cause that's another thing I love. It's hearing parents like, okay, I'm not into music, but I'm definitely going to make sure you go forward. Uh,
yeah.
so what was your first guitar?
It was a really cheap. I think my first ever guitar, like if I'm talking like first ever when I was like really young, was a Hannah Montana guitar. And then if we're talking like when I actually really wanted to teach myself how to play,
Yeah.
like professionally, that was a first act guitar from Target. So yeah.
You know what? Everybody's got to start somewhere. And you know what? If I've had so many people that was their first guitar. I mean, I locally, like guys that are like got their little, bands and stuff like that. They're like, yeah, my parents bought me the first that guitar. That's what I learned how to play on. And I'm like, hey, does it play? Can you make music with it? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, did you evolve from it? And they're like, well, yeah. I'm like, it's a great starter then. Uh,
Yeah, it definitely is. Eventually I upgraded to a Yamaha Pacifica guitar. That was like my first real guitar. And yeah, so but the first act, yeah, it's definitely funny.
now, how did you teach yourself how to play? Were you YouTubed it or
Yeah, I did some research. I first started trying to like just, like play around with it, and then I started doing research on like YouTube and watching like my favorite artists play on stage and through like YouTube videos and stuff like that, and then like teaching myself through tabs and like by ear.
yeah, that's see, I had to learn it the hard way. I cheated. I had to go with VHS tape, record and watch
Um,
frame by frame because I was a big fan of I'm still a big fan of the band Anthrax. And I played bass and I watched Frankie play Got the Time over and over and over again in slow motion until I
oh wow,
remembered all the finger placement, and that's how I learned how to play
that's even
bass.
harder.
Ah, I couldn't. Now you guys got it easy. It's like, oh, it's YouTube. Just doop, doop.
Yeah,
There you
YouTube.
go.
YouTube definitely helps a lot.
Yeah, and I did not realize how much it helped until the last interview we did with Lisa Mann from White Crone. She played bass. She's doing her one woman thing, and now she went through and learned how to play more musical instruments because of YouTube, and
Oh
that's
wow. Yeah.
amazing. So
Yeah, YouTube is definitely helpful.
yeah. And you're out there pushing you're on the verb sorry.
So,
Okay. You're doing you got a contest going on right now.
yeah, I'm on my song "Set Me Free." It's another song that I wrote, recorded, and produced. It's available for voting on a song contest called Vibre, and people can vote for it. And it's like a way of showing support for, as like an artist. So like if anyone wants to vote for it, the links are like in the bio of all my social media pages.
Well, well, it's I can't stress how cool it is that I've been seeing this a lot of the one person band putting all this stuff together, doing it all themselves. And then when they get around to it, they're like, oh, I'm going to tour now, or I'm going to do some. So they'll reach out to some local musicians or hire somebody or, friends or whatever. But being able to do it all yourself, that's your entire heart. That's everything. You're putting everything into this. And music is all about, putting a lot in, and a lot of people, yeah, I guess I can throw this under the throw. I'm gonna throw pop musicians under the bus, is because so many of them do not write their own music. They do not write their own lyrics. They do not write their own, chords or nothing like that. It's all brought to them, and then they're like, "Oh, learn that. Okay, there you go." But I don't think there's the passion behind it, and this is a huge passion project because you're doing everything,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
that's incredible. And I'll probably go on about that about 5 times because I think it's I love people backing themselves. I love people betting on themselves, going forward and doing what they want to do, and that is so cool and so awesome. I think it's badass.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Now you do a lot of rock. I see you do some poppy stuff and whatnot. What was the first musical genre that you fell in love with?
Rock, for
Rock.
sure. I mean, when I was younger, I'm not gonna lie, I did like, I mean, everyone listens to pop when they're a little kid.
Yep.
But then once I started, getting older, I started finding my own taste in music, and I definitely gravitated towards like 90s grunge bands like Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, and then started getting into more heavier stuff like Deftones, Tool, Evanescence, all of that. So very 90s, early 2000s, stuff, and that kind of was a big inspiration for me.
Yeah, because sitting here listening to your music, I was listening to it a little bit ago. You have a very Evanescence slash Lacuna Coil feel to your music. You have that vocal where your vocals kind of reign above the guitar and stuff like that. And I like that. I think, yes, guitars are great. Don't get me wrong. I love guitar and stuff like that. But I believe so much of that can be a crutch for the vocals. Does that make sense? And you are pushing your vocals first, and that's kicking butt. And
Thank you so much. That's a really nice compliment. Thank you.
so, when did you start singing?
Um, I kind of loved singing my whole life. I just never really took it seriously as a career path until like the last 7 years or so. Um, that's when I started recording myself and putting it out there into songs that people could hear, like on all platforms and stuff.
Now, is StarSeed your first project you've ever done?
I would say yeah, my first like real project. Yeah, but I was doing music way before that.
See,
Um, yeah.
you're shooting me in here. We always ask what was your first band's name and stuff like that because everybody has a horrible first band's name. Do you have one? Do you have one before
Um,
StarSeed?
I actually didn't have a band name before that. I just used my regular names to put out music. Yeah.
That's that it's so fun talking to these people that are their first project is like their big one. that they never really had anything before that. So it's like, oh, you ask all the dumb questions like, oh, what's your first band's name? Like, this is it. This is the first band we've ever done. So
I
you don't have a goofy first name, first band name. So
yeah, I don't really, just like a regular name.
where did the name Starseed come from?
Honestly, I really don't know. I was trying to come up with ideas in my head, and then somehow Starsea just kept like coming to my mind, and I looked up the meaning of it, and I found that it kind of resonated. So then I just kind of stuck with it.
Cool, because I was looking at you and I'm like, man, she's too young for it to be named after the horror movie Starseed. Uh,
So yeah, I just kind of chose it after like it just stuck with me for some reason, and I just ended up using it as a band name.
and it's Starseed, and it's is it in the SE3D? Okay.
Yeah, so just pronounce it as Starsea, but it is spelled with the 3D at the end.
Yeah, because I've asked people that, and they're like, no, that's just the only way we could use that name because
Yeah.
Twitter or whatever. So I want to check
I
them.
mean, that's part of it because I looked up like other artists on Spotify, and I found like one or two that were named Starsea, so I kind of had to alter the name to avoid any copyright.
See, that was the next question I was going to ask. I was like, I can't believe there's not another band named Starseed because
Yeah,
yeah, because
there are a couple, I think.
yeah, it's finding the name of bands can be insanely hard nowadays because
Oh, it's really
there's so
hard.
many.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
yeah, no, it's become very saturated, so it's very difficult to find an original band name that no one has ever come up with.
Yeah, I was trying to explain that to a friend of mine because he's one of the ones weirded out by the long names, like Job for a Cowboy and I wrestled a bear once and stuff like that. I was like, dude, I was like, go try to find a one word band name that hasn't been taken yet. And he's like, comes back like a week later and he's like, yeah, there's so many, they're all gone. Like any good band name you could think of is taken by somebody, even if it's some
Yeah,
little band in like Podunk, Kentucky or whatever. So
yeah, it's really hard. Yeah.
So have you done any or do you play live yet or anything?
I've played live on the internet, but I haven't for as far as original music goes, I haven't yet played it live like on a stage. I have played live for other bands like, playing guitar, um, or backup vocals, but I haven't yet performed my own music as Starseed on like an actual stage.
Okay.
Only on the internet so far.
So you're a gun for hire too. So you're playing with other people's bands, right? There.
I wouldn't call myself a gun for hire, but occasionally, when an opportunity presents itself, I will definitely, help out when I can.
Okay, okay. It's it's fun to see. Now, are you playing the same type of music or are you playing different music when you're playing in other bands?
I'm pretty versatile, but usually it's rock. But I usually, if there's like an opportunity for me to like play guitar at someone's show, I'm open to other genres as well.
Okay. Now, with Starseed being your main focus and you're putting a lot into it, where do you see Starseed and yourself in 5 years?
Oh wow. I definitely hope for some success with my music because I've been working hard for many years, and I know this sounds pretty, cliche. This is what every musician wants, to have some kind of breakthrough with their music. But it's more than just success. It's like having people act like more people, having your music reach more people so that it can help more people. Because that's like always been a goal of mine, is like for my music to be therapeutic for someone else, and it would be really nice if it could reach more people so that it could ultimately help people in the end.
Now, do you want Starseed to remain a one woman project, or would you like to see it become a full band?
I would like to see it become a full band. That'd be really cool because when it comes to playing live, I definitely would need, live
Oh yeah,
members. Yeah.
yeah. So it's not one of the ones where you do it all, and then when you would tour, you'd bring in people in. You do want Starseed to grow to a full band, period, not just a touring band.
Well, both. Like,
Okay.
so if I'm gonna tour, I would like to have like, a live drummer, a live bassist, maybe another guitar player, just so that when it comes down to live shows, it has like a full band sound.
Yeah. Now, when we asked this because I spotted you because of Instagram. Do you find it easier to get your music out there or harder because there's so many people now on the internet?
I find it was a little like, so for many years I've been putting my music out there and it's been really hard. There was one year, I believe it was 2022, where my music was getting pushed out a little bit. So like my, covers and originals were getting a little bit more views and I was happy about that. And then recently the algorithm changed again, and so I'm not really getting any reach at all. So it kind of is a shame because, like, when you work really hard on something, you want people to see it. And then when no one sees it, it's kind of a letdown.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
I see that a lot. I didn't mean to cut you off. I've
They,
seen with Twitter, with what's going or not Twitter, with TikTok, what's going on right now, like people's accounts are grinding to halts, and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm legit. I get up every morning to go put stuff on TikTok, and I just stare at it and go, "Why am I doing this? It's not going anywhere." So I'm thinking about like, oh, well, maybe I'll just do just nothing but YouTube now. Uh,
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from with that. It's like they constantly change the algorithms and it makes it difficult for musicians. It's kind of like not motivating when they do that.
yeah. See, I always thought of it as a double-edged sword. You are getting your music out there to people who because it's worldwide, it's not like back when I was younger. If you were a touring, a local band or somebody just starting out, you had to slowly start moving out of your home area and slowly getting a bigger and try to keep those people that were steering you here to see you over here and then to bring new people in there. Now, you can hit a song and, you know, I found music from Germany and stuff like that that I would have never found outside of the internet. But now you got to deal with not just 100, maybe like 30, 40 bands in your local area. Now you got to deal with a million bands because you're out
Yeah.
worldwide. And I can see that being really hard. But do you think do you find it like a double-edged sword?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's you described it perfectly because it's like on one hand it's easier because you're given that platform to put your stuff out there, but if the algorithm is not on your side, it can kind of, you know, not work in your favor basically.
Yeah, because I've been doing this lately, and I'm doing it when I should be working, which is sucks. But I get bored a little bit, and I take a break, and I'll be sitting there, and I'll scroll through, and if a song hits me, or some lyrics hit me, or vocals hit, I have to stop. I go back, I listen to it. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But I think when it makes me go all the way back, and I listen to it all the way then it pops. Yours popped. Like I said, I found your cover of, Leonard Skinner, and I'm like, "What? Oh, hold on a second. Oh, oh, okay, all right." I mean, I'm old, so I grew up on Leonard Skinner, and that is um I love that song. And it's a really good take on the song. It's good vocals. Yeah, you're not in a booth, recording, high quality, but it's still really good to listen to. It feels like you're uh like you're at some place listening to somebody just have fun playing is what it's for me. And it has very much a I love seeing live music. I love seeing local bands and stuff like that. And, yeah, that's that raw feel, especially, local bands, stuff like that. Of course, you go see big bands, it's a huge production and whatnot. But the sheer rawness, the intimacy of it, and it works. And that's what kind of really popped with that song for me. And then I went back and found other ones, and then I got the little invite from you to find your band, and then I went from there, and then I was like, oh, that's pretty good stuff. Oh, that's pretty good stuff. So I just kept listening to it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Long story short, you distracted me when I should be working. Uh, I can't complain. Nobody's going to say anything. I'm the boss. But um, now, do you? We've talked to other people about this. Do you have hobbies that are outside of music that you use to like better your music, or maybe like to distract you from the music, or even?
Well, yeah, like I kind of I've been like so hyper focused on music that like I haven't really had time for much else. But when I do have free time, sometimes I like to paint or draw, like and do art. So that's been kind of like a side hobby for me.
Yeah, that's another thing is we found out that so many people they're not just artistic on the music level. They're artistic on crafts. They'll paint, they'll draw, they'll make jewelry, or they'll do this, and especially I think that's really cool too, because there's so many different outlets. And especially which because it if you get too hyper focused, I think that can be a hindrance, because then you kind of get inside your own head from time to time. And I think if you
Yeah,
walk away and go, oh, hey, well, I'm gonna draw today, or I'm gonna write, or I'm gonna whatever, and it's just enough a distraction that it keeps you motivated. Does that make sense?
yeah, that's like a good point because yeah, sometimes you can get burnt out from doing like overworking. Like I tend to overwork myself because I don't know, I'm just like a really hardworking person, and um when when it comes to music, I can sometimes like I said, hyper focus on it. So I think sometimes it's nice to take a break and like paint or something. I don't know, to kind of like reset because it can be you can burn yourself out.
Oh, definitely. I'm not gonna lie. I had to take a break from this for a couple weeks because I was like, I'll burn out. I needed to break. Walked away
Yeah,
from it. Came back.
that's good. Yeah,
Ah.
yeah,
So,
that's good.
we always ask this. What are you listening to right now? That's not yours.
Currently listening to still a lot of 90s bands, and early 2000s. Sometimes I'll just like pull up Pandora and like let whatever song play, from that time period. I'm just very drawn to the music of those two eras.
Yeah, it's funny because the way you say that, as I have a Sirius radio, and they're like, it's late '90s, early 2000s rock music. I'm
Oh, that's
thinking,
cool. That's cool.
yeah. Um, do you still? I mean, people always tell you, you grow out of certain music. I was like, I never have. Um, but do you find new music? Do you ever like
Yeah,
get lucky?
yes, I will like on these days with going back to the algorithm conversation, like on YouTube, they won't really show you like new music or anything. You kind of have to like search for it yourself. And sometimes it's like hard to know what to search for because nothing is like, presented in front of you. So yeah, like I haven't really like found any new artists as of recently, but still listening to my old favorites, like, from the past.
Oh yeah. Well, if that's what you love, that's what you love. I listen to a lot. I listen to a lot of the same stuff I've listened to since junior high, and every once in a while I find new stuff. But I'm always, I'm the exact opposite of what most 50-year-olds are. Most 50-year-olds are stuck. They're like, this is what we listen to. This is it, you know? And I'm over here going, no, I like this new band. I like this new band. I got to hear this. So,
It's cool.
um, but ironically enough, my wife and I were driving the other day and we were talking about this. Female fronted bands. Do you find it being harder or easier being now you're just a female band, period, end of discussion. Um, do you find it easier to move in musical circles that way, or is it harder still?
I think it's the same no
Okay.
matter what you are because it's so saturated, like I said, and these days it doesn't matter what gender you are, it's gonna be hard no matter what.
Now, I always ask this one. Do you have a regular job that you work outside of music?
I do Fiverr, so I do session work where I
Okay.
record on other people's songs, you know, vocals, mostly vocals and sometimes guitar production. And then I've done side jobs here and there that aren't like things that I would ever want to do just for money, like you know, like DoorDash. So yeah, I don't yeah, but my main thing is Fiverr. That's like what I do.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's neat because a lot of people. I have a pretty good friend, and he went and he was telling me, he goes, well, because one day he goes, your bills got to get paid, so you start playing music that maybe is not your favorite music. And he
Yeah.
went, he toured with a country band for quite a while,
Oh,
and he was a metal guy, like,
oh, that's
and he goes, oh, it's fun. He goes, I got to travel, I got to see all the, all over, and he goes, I would have never done that in my regular band, but he goes, but that, go ahead, sorry.
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. Do you are you working in other genres when you do the session work, or are you just mostly rock still?
Yeah, mostly rock and metal, non alternative, but occasionally there'll be like an EDM or like country or something outside of my genre, and I kind of have to make it work.
Well, it's one of the ones that it's nice to be able to have that kind of be able to do all that, because if you get super focused in one genre and one style, I think it can make your music stagnant. And
Yeah, that's true.
when you can add a little bit of pop, maybe a little bit of country, a little bit of classic rock, or even a little bit of synth wave, or a little bit of this, or a little bit of, I think it can't do anything but help you grow as a musician. So
Yeah, I agree with that, and that's kind of why I branched out recently and did a pop punk song.
yeah,
Um,
seeing that.
yeah, it's kind of like not like I kind of just it just kind of came to be that way. So like I had like this chorus idea, you know, the main chorus idea from years ago, and I started putting, you know, the instruments recording into Logic, and then it just somehow came to be a pop punk song. So I just kind of went with it, and it kind of is a good thing because it kind of changed up. You know, my music tends to be really dark, so I guess it's a nice, you know, like experimental kind of changing things up.
Now, is that going to be when you do the album? Is it going to be on the album, or is that just a one-off that you do as a single?
Well, I actually didn't release this one under StarSe3d. I released it under Taylor Ariel, my name. Um, so just kind of testing it out. I don't know. I'm not gonna. I'm still gonna do like my, you know, my usual style of music. But if I ever come up with another pop punk song, then I'll probably release it under that project name as well.
Now, you're talking about keeping music and stuff. Like, do you like if you get a lyric idea, you jot it down and then hold on to it, or like a riff
Um,
idea, anything like that?
Usually it starts with like a vocal melody, so I'll like hum it into my phone, and then when I'll kind of try to come up with words to that, so I'll write it down, either on my phone or on a piece of paper or something, and then I'll try to come up with riffs or like a chord structure that goes behind, the main melody. I tend to come up with chorus melodies for some reason a lot more, and then kind of try to build the song around that.
Okay. So would you, since Starseed and Taylor is two almost different genre styles of what you're doing, would you do a Taylor album?
Yeah, I probably would if I, came up with enough songs in that style.
Okay, yeah, because it yet again keeps you from getting stagnant. Got to keep that music changing
Yeah,
and moving and stuff like that. And as much as people will give bands crap for having weird albums and changing up, I was like, but if you didn't have that album, you wouldn't have that album. If you didn't have this album, you wouldn't have that album. You know, I'm old and I we always, everybody jokes around about like Kiss and songs from the elders. I'm like, if we didn't have songs from the elders, you wouldn't have the evolution of any of the other stuff that came later. So
yeah, so true.
yeah. Now like I said, you did a cover of Leonard Skinner. Are you a fan of Leonard Skinner, or was that just you a fan of the song?
I like the song. It was actually heavily requested on my live stream. So I was going live on TikTok almost every day, and every night I would play songs people would request Freebird. And I actually never heard the song. Like I didn't really I heard the song before, but like I forgot about it. So when I listened to it, I was like, oh, I know this song. So I decided to make a cover for it since it was so heavily requested on my live streams.
That's that's cool, but that's legitimately, you go to any concert, there's somebody out there going Freebird. You get that.
Yeah, I didn't know about that until I did the cover for it.
That's crazy. I legit think I was at a synth wave show and somebody yelled Freebird. Uh,
Uh,
now are you w- w- you talk about you're a still big fan of the 90s and the early 2000s metal and music. Do you still have a favorite band from that era?
um, I would definitely say, Nirvana was like my first, inspiration, and then I started getting into other bands like Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, um, Stone Temple Pilots. I really like that band also. And like Deftones, Tool from like and Evanescence, Flyleaf, Breaking Benjamin, Chevelle, Seether, the list goes on.
That see, people give that whole I don't know that whole time period of music, like the early 2000s when new metal hit and then your bands like Hinder and Chevelle and stuff hit. Everybody loves giving that those type of bands crap, but the thing is like they sold. People
Yeah,
still will go see them in concert. People still love them. And, we have the ongoing joke at the shop that, people like, "Oh, Nickelback." I'm like, "Dude," I was like, "Nickelback is a bar band that just somehow hit it big." I've got nothing against them. Those guys did something that I could never do. And
I actually really like their music because I find it kind of nostalgic because I remember hearing it when I was younger on the radio, hearing bands like Nickelback, Three Doors Down, um,
Mhm.
the Plain White Tees, like bands like that, like alternative bands and like rock, all like
It was during
spanning all different genres.
yeah, it was during the time when it was very radio driven.
Yeah,
And now we do a lot of streaming, with, satellite radio and Pandora and Amazon Music and stuff like that. I recently I bought a different car and I actually have to listen to terrestrial radio because I haven't swapped out the stereos in it yet. And it's so weird to listen to regular radio and not
yeah.
like Pandora or Amazon or any of that stuff. Um, but it's still fun. I kind of find it fun now, almost nostalgic because I was like, oh, this is what it was like at one time.
Yeah, it's definitely nostalgic for sure, and I think that's why I like it so much. It just feels like my uh like soul is drawn to those to that time period of music.
Um, this is an interesting question because this is a psychology question here. How old were you when you found the music that you fell in love with?
Um, it's like teens.
Late teens? Because I've we there's the theory that most people are locked in at 13, 14. That what you enjoy and what music genres you love are set by the time you're 13, 14 years old.
Oh wow.
And it's some other things too, like your taste in people and your taste in movies and stuff like that is kind of set at a certain point. And I've noticed that a lot is people found their music that they really like about that age and it's stuck. And that's why I was kind of wondering about that one because you're talking about music is from a few years ago. And I'm like, okay, let's see how old you, and
Yeah,
that
for me,
explains a lot.
it was probably around 16 that I started to like find my own music taste.
Yeah. Now we're you're out in California. Um, but you've is there a big music scene where you're at?
I would say there is, yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
I
But a lot of venues do like ask you to pay to play, which is a little bit unfair, I think, especially as you know, as an independent artist, you already don't make enough income as it is, and to have to pay to play is um kind of unfair, I think. Um, but I understand they want like ticket sales and all that.
well, I know that that's pretty common. It's common here, pay to play. But we have the bars that will play, local bands will show up, and you get a lot of that. If you want to play and you want to open for name insert national touring act now, you'll have that. That's when you do your pay to play. If you're just coming in on a Friday or Saturday night, play some songs, you do your covers and then you do your originals, and you're just there to basically keep the bar patrons happy, then you get paid. And a lot of people start there and then slowly move up and keep moving a little bit at a time. I don't know if those days are over. I feel like with the internet somewhat they've kind of been that people don't get music that way. um it's I think it's a shame. I It's one of the reasons I don't drink, I don't party, but if you got a good band at a bar, I'm like, I'm there. Okay, let's go. And I'm go see a good band. So it's all about, I guess, really kind of getting your name out there and getting people to notice you and find your sound. And you seem to be nailing all of this. Like you figured out that you're figuring out the internet. You've had, like you said, you've had some problems with the algorithms, but that will hopefully fix itself. Um, you will get, you're out there playing in other bands and being a session musician and stuff like that. Um, would you ever look at taking Starseed and maybe doing like the one woman projects, like the one person projects, where you pretty much everything outside of your guitar and you is recorded and you just get up there and play? Would you do anything like that?
I would be open to doing that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Because some people are like, no, not until I can get a band.
Yeah, it's nicer when you have a band, to go up there with you. But I'm definitely open to that as well.
Yeah, because it is being by yourself, and then you get to take all the money home. So like you don't have to share it with anybody.
And
So
that's
maybe the sound guy. Uh, the cool thing, one of the cool things I found about what you're doing is you know you learn to play more instruments. I mean, I'm sure you weren't a producer walking into this. I mean, you
uh,
learning that. Were you a songwriter before all this, or did that come after? Okay.
I've always written poetry and like lyrics when I was younger, and I've always written stories. And then uh, coming into music as a career path, I started turning those words into songs. So for me, I think songwriting just kind of came naturally because I've always like done poetry and stuff like that.
You find it cathartic to get that out?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Um, it, it's it's so funny because so many people we've talked to are you know oh, I still got to go work at the factory, or I got to go do this, or I got to do this, and ironically enough, the guys are the ones that have to do this. We've talked to several women who have come out and they're like, no, we just play. We're doing this. We're sessioning over here, but we're doing. And I think it's funny because it's almost flip flopped. Does that make?
Yeah, I guess it depends on each person's situation, like personal life situation too.
Yeah.
Like it depends on the person.
Do you still have a strong back like group of people that back you, like your
Yeah,
family and friends and
I'm,
whatnot? Yeah,
I'm thankful for that. Yeah.
yeah. It's no. I've always asked. I've kind of wondered about this. Um, do you find it doing music and putting a lot into it? Do you have problems? I mean, if you can say no or whatever, but like, does it cause any problems in relationships or anything to have a passion of music? Or okay,
No, not at all.
cool. Because I know some people can get like, if you're not, they can go like, oh well, you need to focus a little on me and not on the music today, or stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Cool, cool, cool. Um, it's funny because given the fact that you are doing this one woman, I can't ask you horrible band questions about have you had any issues? Well, I guess I can because you said you're a do session. Have you had any horror experiences working as a session musician?
Not many, but I've had probably a couple because most of the people that I work with are really nice, straightforward and whatnot. But there were a couple times where I did all the work for a client and then they ended up canceling on me after I did all the work. So I didn't end up getting paid for all the work that I did. So that was disappointing. But most of the time, the people that I work with are really nice and they always give me positive reviews. So I'm really thankful about that.
Nice. And you said you were on Fiverr doing that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's bad. I didn't even know you could do that on Fiverr, but I've only gone like this much of Fiverr.
Yeah.
But we always ask the horrible tour experiences, which I don't you have no horror. You have no
I
horrible.
know I always wanted to go on tour, but it hasn't happened yet. So I hope someday soon it happens so I can share
You can
hopefully
have horror stories.
hopefully no horror stories, but hopefully some positive experiences.
Uh, well, it's cool because I mean, it's fascinating because this is like your first big thing, and it's like the first thing, period. And yes, you're doing your session stuff and whatnot, but like be able to like come out the gates, like you're gone. You're like the light turned green, and you're okay. I'm doing this now. Gone. No screwing around with having to deal with ego from other band members. No, you're not have to worry about a producer. You're doing that. No songwriters. You're doing that. No musicians. You're doing that. And you're just gone. You're just I got this. And that's amazing. It's kicking ass. And but I guess I can ask, what advice do you have for other upcoming musicians?
That's a good question. I would say if it's your true passion and what you love to do, just keep going with it, even if it feels like you want to give up sometimes because the road, it's not like a straight path. I just say to keep going with it because you love it and it's what you love to do.
Okay, okay. And what about people who want to do it by themselves? What advice do you have for people doing that?
Um, I would say definitely make sure that you love what you're doing first and foremost, because it's a lot of hard work, and you have to have a lot of passion behind it. Because for me, I can't see myself doing anything else, so that's why I dedicated so much of my time and effort to it. So I would just say if it's what you love to do, just keep researching and like take it, at your own pace. Like, don't try to rush things. Just try to have fun with it, and yeah, passion is number one.
Okay. And where can people find you online?
I'm on all major platforms: Spotify, iTunes, Bandcamp, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and I also have my song available for voting on Fiverr's website. It's their song contest. The links are all on my social media, platforms. And yeah, I'm on all platforms.
Nice. And I always ask this, can we use one of your songs as the outro for this episode?
Yes, that would be awesome. Thank you so much.
We love doing that because when we first started, we're like, oh well, they're gonna, I don't think they'll complain, but maybe their record label will complain, and they're like, no, do it. We'll tell them no. So
Yeah, please do.
and we usually ask if you have any tour dates, but you have no tour dates.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I guess, would you be open to play live with another band? Like,
Oh, yes, definitely.
okay, like somebody asks you, like, hey, we need a guitar player. What would you do?
Oh, I would say, yeah, I would definitely do it.
Cool, cool. And I guess I'm kind of out of questions because a couple of questions I can't ask. But you are killing it. You're out there self-promoting, self-producing, self-writing, self everything. And that it's got to be hard. It's got to be. Oh, that's a full-time job. I mean, that's probably more than a full-time job. You're probably putting in what, like 60 hours a week, probably doing all this stuff.
Definitely.
Like, man, I got, applaud. That's your
Thank you so much.
it, as someone who's played in, a couple bands and tried to do all this stuff back in when I was younger, I never thought in a million years to like even attempt to do something by myself. I would have had to learn how to play guitar, and I learned how to play drums. And, I did sing a little, but my voice is shot and I can't sing hardly at all anymore. But you're doing it all, and you're young, you're smart, you're passionate about what you do, and you're out there killing it, and you're making sure people find you. You're doing the covers, which, we always say, covers is a way, because some people are like, I do covers, that's bullshit, but you do covers so people will notice you. Like I said, I noticed you because of a cover.
That's
And I think that's great. But I do want to thank you so very much. When you get more of your project done, maybe when you're ready to release an album or whatever, or you have something else going on, feel free to reach out to me again. We'll get you back on the show. We can talk stuff. I'm actually, maybe we're working on getting an episode with like a few different singers, especially, like I said, we got that are all, women driven solo projects. And maybe we could have a group show just talking about woman-driven solo projects. So,
awesome. Yeah, definitely.
all right. Well, I greatly appreciate you. Keep kicking ass and staying awesome. And hope to hear from you again soon that your album's about ready to drop, and we will get out there and push the crap out of it. So,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Paul. It's great talking to you. Thank you for having me on your show.
you're welcome. And take care and have yourself a good night. And see you later. And
All right, thank you. Have a great night. Thank you.
You. talk.